pressing go. I'm pressing go. It says we're live. Hello, everybody. It says we're live. Let's see if we're live. This is weird. I'm the person in charge of the hello,
Can
everybody
people
button.
hear me?
Well, let's find
Hello.
out. Hello,
not live for
everybody.
me yet.
Can you hear us?
Oh, I see you, Yann.
Hooray. I see me too, which is confusing.
And I'm going to have to mute you
Yes.
on there anyway, otherwise.
I want to drink my coffee. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hopefully you can hear us okay. We are streaming from my computer, so I should be less fuzzy, but you also can't see Michael. Now, on the other hand, I'm less fuzzy, but you can't see Michael. So it's kind of 6 of one, half the other. So
Can they hear me?
I don't know. Can they hear me? Can people hear us? Okay.
I suppose I could unmute for a second and
should
find
do
out.
That, yeah. La 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 la.
Yep. I can be heard.
Fantastic. Okay.
So what are we doing this evening, Yann?
Same thing we do every evening, Mikey. Taking over the... No, wait. That's the wrong script.
The Mikey and the Yann.
Okay.
The Mikey and the Yann.
So, time's a little bit limited because Mikey only just got his computer back on and I have to rush off afterwards. So, I thought it'd be fun to try a little 45-minute game challenge in Godot 4 Beta 8. So, Michael, I have 2 things I require from you, if you're willing. Or 3 things. First, as I can't see you, permission to use this as a prop for when I'm talking to you.
And go on to number 2. Oh, no. Oh, I'm a bat. I'm a bat. Yeah, no means.
Number 2, could you keep time for me?
I've got it in a box. It's all good.
Excellent. Number 3, can you keep eye on the chat? Because I don't have as many monitors as you do.
That's absolutely fine. 1,
Fantastic.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Does my phone count as a monitor?
Is it connected to the rest of your system?
No, but it can view the chat independently, which would make it 8 monitors.
Well, I have 2. So at this point, you're just bragging.
They're all separate computers, by the way. But there we go.
That's fine.
And a few of them would require me to run around the house. But
You're still bragging. All right. So what I thought we'd do today is a really, really, really simple game. And the reason I want to do this is there's actually a mechanic that is used a lot in various games. A very basic decision system, rock, paper, toucan. So we're going to make
remember that.
a very simple rock, paper, scissors game that we can easily change the names of. So we can have whatever theme we want. And it'll track who's picked what. The computer's going to pick something randomly from the options. We're going to pick something probably less randomly. It's going to decide who won, and then it's going to restart the game. And I don't think we will have time, but if we do, we could try expanding it to rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock, which is basically the same thing, but with extra buttons. So less likely to tie. That sounded like you were going to say something.
I know the that might be a bit more difficult to program.
It's actually exactly as difficult to program. It's just slightly more fiddly. But why don't we get into why that is? So, first thing I need to do is switch over to my desktop. Boop! Now, you should be able to see my desktop. Can people hear us okay? I haven't heard anything. I can't see the chat.
Yes, people can hear us okay, and we can see Godot now.
Excellent. Hello, everybody.
Now,
all right.
Which version of Godot are you in?
I am using Godot 4 Alpha 8.
Beta 8. Yeah.
Beta
awesome.
8. That's what I said.
Just checking.
All right. Michael, are you ready
Yes.
to run the time?
Go.
Ah! That wasn't a yes. All right, 2D scene. It's in fact not a 2D scene. It's going to be something else. Let's change the type and go to a control node. And we're going to call this RPS. Great. You are going to be full screen. Bloop. And inside, I'm going to put a color rect as a background. Now, I've preloaded 2 things. I preloaded Pirata 1 font, because it was a free font from fonts.com, and I thought it was fun. And I've gone and got a bunch of colors under swatches, which I got from Low Spec Dungeon 14. So if you want to, go to lowspec.com and look up the Dungeon 14 palette. 14 colors we can use. Let's pick a nice dark one. Boom. And we want this nice and big. Boom. Background. Look at that. We're almost there, Michael. It's almost done. We're winners. Did I spell that right?
Ooh. Is that the building block? We're making a Minecraft clone, yeah?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Awesome.
Now, all right. I want to split up a title, a little game state, description of what's happening, and some buttons. So to do that, I'm going to split the screen using a vertical box or VBox container, which again is going to be the full size. Now, we're going to be having a few different things with the same font, so it feels like we should have a theme. Let's make a new theme. I'm rushing a bit because I'm aware of the time. I'd rather have too much time than too little.
That's absolutely fine.
And we want a new... actually, no, we want the default font. That's what we want. Default font, I think I could just drag you in Godot 4. Yes, I can. And let's say the default size is 32. Okay, so because I've put the theme up here... There's our font. Because I've put the font up here, the theme up here, everything below this will inherit that font. I'm just going to notice we are live. Oh, we're live. I should go deal with that. So the VBox container.
I thought I'd announce it.
I appreciate it. We're on a new label. And it's going to be a title. And I'm going to call this Rock, Paper, Toucan. Needs a capital T. Okay, let's make that a little bit more legible. So... let's set you horizontally, and I'm actually going to do a theme override, and font size is, let's do 64. Bom, bom, bom. There you go. Very piratey. Just so I know what we're doing, let me call this title. All right. When the game is running, like when I've picked something and when Godot has picked something, I want a little description of what's happening, and that's going to be inside another label. So, I figure that label should go here. I am a game state descriptor. Is that too small? Yeah, it's too small, isn't it? Let's make you a little bit... no! Let's make you a little bit centered and bigger. So back to our font. Default font is not 32, it's 48. I am a game state velociraptor. Descriptor. Okay.
No dinosaurs were harmed during the making of this game.
Yes, because we're very bad at harming dinosaurs when we work together. Okay, so we're going to have to refer to this a lot. So I'm going to call this game describer or game state. Game state, game label, game chat. What should we call it, chat? I'm going to call it game. Let me know what they think we should call it. Under this, I want some buttons. So we need another VBox container or maybe a grid container. Let's do a VBox container. And this one is going to be centered. Like so. And inside this, I'm going to put 3 buttons. In fact, I'm going to put 1 button and make it a scene. Because that way we can just have the same script for everything. And let's save what we've got so far. I'll make a brand new folder called game RBS. There we go. Because we're going to need some scripts and things. And you're my button. So let's export you, maybe? Well, let's see what you're going to be looking like. Yeah, okay, I can live with that. Maybe a little bit of space there. So let's go to here and give it some margin. If I'm going too fast, if there are questions, if I'm going too slow, poke me. I don't care.
Good evening, Vertex Rage.
Hello, Vertex.
I must have clicked at some point. I was like, why are you repeating yourself? It doesn't match. I rewound the video.
Well done.
I'm professional.
Yeah. There was a way you could change the margin, but I've forgotten where that is. Is it up here? You know what? Doesn't matter. All right. That's going to be our basic layout. Now we're going to have 2 more buttons at least, and we're going to hide things that we're not using, right? So there's game there, and there's buttons here. Let's call you buttons. And yeah. Has anyone got a suggestion for what we should name this game label? If not, I'm going to call it game label. And while that's there, I don't need the theme window, but I do need a script. We definitely need that. And we need a script for the buttons. So let's make these buttons a new scene. To do that, I'm going to right click on them, save branches scene, and I'm going to make a new folder called buttons. I probably shouldn't call it just button, but I'm doing it. Now, the reason I want it to be its own scene is I want basic behavior to happen here, but that behavior is going to be the same for each button. So rather than just copy paste it, let's make an instance, and that way every time we want to change it, we can just go into the scene of the button, change it here, and it'll repopulate the changes throughout. So I want to have our basic game state. Let's start from the beginning. I haven't thought this through yet. We're going to need to go into our RPS and get rid of all that. Don't care about that. Let's put in the ability to rename our states. Now we have 3 states, right? We have rock, paper, scissors, but we might not want to call them that. So let's make an export variable called rock. Rock must be a string, and the default value is rock. Now if I save that and click over here, we can now see rock that can be renamed to dance. Cool. We need 2 more states at this stage. So let's copy you, and go paste, and go paste. Paper, scissors. This bit isn't very exciting, but all right. We need to track which choices are possible, right? So I need a variable called choices, or possible choices, or states, whatever you want to call it. And this should be rock, paper, scissors. However, that's not how you do that. Rock, comma, paper, comma, scissors. However, if I put it like this, we're going to have an issue. Identify scissors, not declared. It's here. Oh. Okay, if I do it like this, Mikey, we're going to have an issue. And the issue is these variables can be changed at export, but at this stage in the script, it's going to think they're still the same. So we're going to have a button that says dance instead of rock, for example, but the computer is going to pick paper, not song. So rather than define what that is here, we're going to do that on ready. Okay, the possible choices are whatever the string rock is, whatever the string paper is, and whatever the string scissors is. Scissors is. Please mix use of tabs and spaces for indentation. No, thank you. Let's just use a tab. Thank you. All right. We need to track what the player has chosen. So let's call that player choice. And we need to track what Godot has chosen, which I'm going to call Godot choice. Could call it NPC, could call it AI, could call it non-player, could call it Bob. I'm calling it Godot choice. Your mileage may vary.
That makes sense.
All right, so we have a script that currently does very little. So let's make it do a basic thing. I need 3 states of this button. So let's extend that a little bit. And I'm going to call you rock button. And let's instance in 2 more buttons. So button. Great. And you are going to be paper button. And you are going to be scissor button. Okay. Now, I'm going to want to refer to these in script. And what I could do is I could just drag them here or use the $. But Godot 4 has a brand new thing we can do. We can right-click on it and access its unique name. As long as nothing else in the scene is called rock button, and we can see it by this percentage sign, we can refer to it directly in script no matter where it is in the scene tree. So we can move it as much as we like, but we can refer to it by its name rather than its position, which is kind of fun.
Oh, that's really useful.
Yep.
I remember some of the things you've done in the past where you had to go right into nesting. Yep. Horrible. So does it give you a warning if you accidentally call something rock button elsewhere?
I actually don't know. I hope so. I haven't checked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the text of rock button and change it for rock. So if I run the game, yes, this is my default scene. Please run it. And I've hidden them, so let's unhide them. Buttons all say rock. Okay, that's probably because the default button says rock, so let's change that. There we go. Once more with feeling. Now it doesn't say nothing. Why doesn't it say nothing? You know what? Let's get the other two in and we'll figure that out. Percentage is over here. Paper button dot text equals paper. And scissor button dot text is equal to scissor. Okay, so hopefully, if I run the scissors, right? I keep. Why can't I see you people?
There we go. So when you're running the game, at the moment, I can see I'm a game state descriptor, but there's nothing below that. Should there be stuff below that?
There absolutely should. There should be these buttons, and for some reason, they're not coming through. They're just using whatever's visible over here. I think it's because they're instances. I might not be able to run these as instances for this to work. So let's right-click all of these, and not batch rename. Oh, let's stop trying to run the game. Something is going in a loop. There we go. Let's right-click on these and make local. Let's just pretend I didn't do those instances, because, yeah, we don't have time. How much time do we have?
Yes, but we have 30 minutes remaining.
Why are you hidden?
So was this the little square you made earlier?
Yes.
It's not the same colour as the background, is it? And therefore...
It is not.
I must have skipped the part where you made the button itself.
Okay, so it's just not updating the text. Okay, so now we know there's an error. Let's find out why. Function ready, that's not the ready function. That's the ready function. Once more with feeling. Okay, good. So we can actually have those as instances. So I'm going to delete all of those, re-instance them in.
I've just seen.
Yeah,
it's amazing how easy it is to forget something like an underscore. I was coding earlier today and in Blender, so using Python, and I forgot to import the Blender Python module, and I sat there scratching my head for about 30 seconds, going, "Why is this not?" Oh,
angry genies, I tell you.
Yep.
Paper button and scissors button. I'm aware that this one isn't called scissors button. Let's just see if that works. No, because now I need to go back and access his unique name. Great. Okay.
That's under the right-click menu. Okay, awesome.
Yep. Okay, so those are now in place. Now we've got our possible choices. We've got our buttons. We need to start the game. So now when these are pressed, we're going to have a signal, right? Each of these buttons is going to have to talk to the main rock, paper, scissors script. Now, because they're instances, I want them to be independent. I don't want to have to say, go back up a parent, up a parent, up a parent. So I'm going to use a group. So let's go back to our RPS node, go to groups, and I'm just going to call you game. So now, anytime any button is pressed, buttons get a script, we're going to do the signal. I say we're going to do the signal. Thank you. Button pressed. Going to connect to itself. Don't need this nonsense. And I'm just going to go get tree. And now I'm going to call group. Our group is called game, lowercase. We're going to call a method called button pressed. I'm going to pass through one more piece of information. And the argument we're going to pass through is just going to be the name of this node. So let's go over here, make function button pressed. And just to make sure it works, oh, it's going to get an argument, isn't it? So let's say button pressed, button choice. Let's call it choice, and so we know what we're dealing with. Let's just go print choice. So now when I press a button, we should see paper button, scissors. Okay, so I'm printing the name of the thing, not the text of the thing. That was silly. Let's go back and do text. Paper, rock, scissors. Great. So we've now got the ability to print the name of a button down here, the text of a button down in the console. Not useful, but we will make it useful.
A good debugging tool, though.
We know it works. Okay, so the button's pressed. We have this thing called player choice. Let's make player choice equals choice.
Good evening, just Durgan.
It's Dougie. Hello, Durgan.
Or has he said, oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Morning. And mindly. I've known Durgan since 2005. It's been a long time, dude. Okay. Now, we don't need this game label at the beginning of the game, so let's hide you and show the buttons. You know what? Let's give you unique names too, just because we can and it's easier. Access as unique names. So let's go game label dot hide. Wait, that's wrong. Game label dot show. Yeah, we want the buttons to go away and the description to stay. And we want the buttons to hide. Awesome. So now if I press a button, the buttons go away. It's good. I like that. Okay. So once we've got that choice, we need to get Godot to choose, right? So let's make a new function called get Godot choice. And let's give ourselves some room to work with. Yeah, I know it's not there. I haven't written it yet. Calm down. Get Godot choice. How are we doing for time?
24 minutes.
Yeah, easy. All right, so Godot is going to pick one of these possible choices, okay? So let's go Godot choice is equal to possible choices, and we're just going to pick one. We're going to pick a random integer. That random integer is going to be where in the array we are, so we need to modulate it by the size of the possible choices. So let's go possible choices dot size. Okay, so this is quite a common thing to do, but in case you can't follow it, we're going to say which entry in this array possible choices are we using. Just pick any random integer, but every time you tick over the number of things there are, start back at 0. Or in other words, we're using the modulo. We're saying get the remainder of whatever's left over whenever you fill this. Okay, so we now have Godot's choice. So let's print player choice. Let's actually say what we're doing. Player plus player choice. And then the line under that, we'll go Godot choice. Boom. All right, so now when I press it, I should get a little game here. Player has picked paper, and Godot has picked rock. Godot. Good. Typos everywhere. But that's okay, because we're not keeping those. We now know that Godot can pick one of those random things. So we're off to a good start. So now we need to show the game state, or the game label. Yeah. Game label dot show. And this is the point where we need to do something. And I don't want it to do like everything all in one go. I remember that Godot 4 has a different way of doing timers. I can't remember what it is offhand, so I'm going to use a timer. I know this is the wrong thing to do. I'm doing it anyway because I gave myself a short time challenge. Let's say our timer is going to go off every 1.5 seconds. It's not going to be a one shot. It's going to keep going until we tell it to stop. It's not going to auto start. And let's connect that to the signal. No, that's not connect to the signal. What are you doing? This is connect to the signal. And let's just take you and go boop, 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 boop. Okay.
I'm just waiting to see what the boop, boop, boop-de boop, boop was.
So what I want is every 1.5 seconds, the game description to advance a little bit. I want to say what we've picked, pause. What Godot's picked, pause.
Yeah.
Check who wins, pause, and restart the game. So that tells me there's what we picked, what Godot picked, whether it's who won, and then restarts. There's 4 possible stages. So I'm going to make a new variable called stage count. Stupid name.
Whilst you're counting your stages. So what you're saying is this is where launch day crunch bugs come from.
Yes. Yes,
And
absolutely.
I think this
Okay.
code is already far better than most launch days.
So what do we imagine is that some company has put in $15 million into a game, has hired a bunch of people, has worked them to within an inch of their lives in quite toxic work environments sometimes, and then told them, okay, our publisher has told us we have to get the game out next week. So no one goes home. So yeah.
Or you all lose your jobs. And then after that week's done, everybody loses their jobs.
Right.
Something like that, yeah?
A bit like that. Okay, so we have a stage count. Stage
Allegedly.
count should start at 0 because we always count from 0. Okay, this feels like it should be a match. What did I call this thing? Stage count. Actually, let's just keep this as an if. It's messy, but I'm doing it anyway. Just because I can keep track of that in my brain easier. If stage count is equal to 0, remember, do use 2 equals, don't use 1. We are checking, we are not setting. Okay, so then we want to go game label, which is in this nice thing, which doesn't autocomplete. That's one annoying thing. Dot text equals, you have picked plus player choice. Else, no, that's the wrong language. Elif stage count is equal to 1. Now we're gonna go 2 lines down and then see what Godot picked. So it's the exact same thing. In fact, I could just copy this. So to do that, we're going to use a control code. We do backslash n twice. Each backslash n is a carriage return. I have picked, and then we want Godot choice. What's the matter with you? Oh, there we go. Thank you. Next, we need to do the actual logic, right? And this is where things get a little bit tricky. So let's make this nice and big so people can read my screen. There we go. And elif, hello, there we go. Elif stage count is equal to 2. All right, so we have 3 possible things that can happen. The player and Godot pick the same thing. That's a tie. Godot, well, the player wins or Godot wins. So let's start with a tie. If player choice, now we're comparing 2 strings, right? So we can just do that. Because we know that whatever choice Godot makes has to be one of these things, which is what the player is doing. No one's typing anything in. There's no possibility of a mistake happening. And we need a function called tie. Okay, that bit's nice and easy. Let's do another elif. So, let's say the player has chosen rock, and I want to get to the position where the player wins. If the player choice, not if the player is the rock, that's, you know, an entirely different game. If the player choice is equal to rock, and the Godot choice is equal to what does rock beat? Scissors. There we go. Now I've put this in brackets because this is one state, right? I'm going to do something I hate doing, but it really is the easiest way. We could have 3 different elifs going, but I'm just going to do one elif because it's one condition. Or player choice is equal to paper and Godot choice is equal to, what does paper be? Rock, right? Yeah. And one more, or player choice is equal to scissors and Godot choice is equal to paper. So all of those are player wins. I must put this there, and let's just zoom out a little bit. I do want to put that on multiple lines, but I really can't. This is not a great readable piece of code, right? Ideally, I would split this up, but this is faster, and I'm just going to go with it. Please don't code like this too often unless you have to. So that's player wins.
I'm a big fan of messy code that works, the really neat code that's either
sometimes
unreadable.
you have to get the idea down first and then go back and say, okay, what's the better way of doing it? Okay, any other condition must be Godot wins, right? We don't need to write that piece of code backwards because if it's not a tie, and the player hasn't won, then the only other possibility is Godot wins. So, we're going to go through all of these. Every time any of these... there's one more thing, right? The game is over. So, if the stage count is 0, this is what you've picked. If the stage count is 1, here's what Godot's picked. If the stage count is 2, here's the game logic. Show us who did the thing. There's one more thing, and here we're going to stop the timer. Thank you. And we're going to reset. We don't have a reset function. We'll do that in a minute. Okay. No matter what happens, we want this the stage count to advance by 1. So stage count plus equals 1. Now, obviously, if we want to play the game again, this has to go back down to 0. So what we could do is we could say if stage count equals 4, no, let's not do that. Instead, let's just do stage count equals stage count plus 1, all in brackets, modulo 4. Ta-da! One line of code. That's what I like to see. Okay. So what's a tie do? Tie just prints out a thing. So let's go game label. I'm getting used to these. There we go. These percent signs. We called this game label? Yes, we did. Dot text plus equals, because we're adding to the existing string. 2 lines down. We tied. Everyone wins, loses, things. I don't know, but just say we tied. I'm feeling a little bit glass half empty. Everyone loses. All right. Player wins is going to be a very similar thing, but it's just going to say... Okay, so right now this game can't restart, right? But let's see if it runs. So let's play it once and see where the bugs are. What do you want to pick, Mikey?
I'm going to pick dynamite. Is that an option?
Yes. I am a game state descriptor. Okay, that doesn't work. So let's go back. Game state label. Well, first off, you should be a plus equals. Game label.text equals you have picked. Is this timer happening? We're not calling the timer.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
There we go. That's the reason why.
Mm-hmm. This is why we check. Timer.start. Okay. Dynamite. You've picked dynamite. I have picked scissors. I win! Okay. Certain things I've noticed. One, we need to be able to get back to the beginning of the game. So let's make a new thing called reset.
Excuse me for dying.
Reset game. Great. What we want to do is we want to hide the game label. We also want to make sure that the game label's text is empty. So let's go game label. Does clear still work? You know what? I'm just going to put an empty string in. I don't care. And we want the buttons to show. So buttons.
Render's saying maybe the scissors snip the fuse on the dynamite.
I was thinking a very similar thing. Dot show. Okay. So now what we want is when we get to this final stage count, when the timer is stopped, we want to go reset game. And we also want to do that right here at the ready. That's too big. I can't see what I'm doing. Okay. I have picked rock. He has picked dynamite. He wins. And we go right back to the beginning.
Nice.
Okay, so a few things we could do here. We could put sound effects in.
Images?
I don't have any loaded. We could put images. I don't have any loaded. How much time do we have?
We have 10 minutes.
Okay, possible choices. Let's put in some more. It's lizard first, isn't it? So I'm only doing this to show you what happens when you start adding choices, because it's going to radically complicate how we have to write this code, because we need to have every choice in. For those of you who don't know, the game of Rock, Paper, Scissors, Lizard, Spock comes from the sitcom 30 Rock. It's not a show I've ever really enjoyed that much, but it's fine. But what it does is it adds in 2 extra things. We better put them in here as well. Lizard, Spock. Why does it add in 2 extra things? Every one of these things can now defeat 2 other things, but the chances of getting a tie are now much smaller. Okay, so this will all work until it tries to pick. Except we don't have enough buttons. We need more buttons. Okay, more buttons.
Whoa.
Button. Button. Okay, great. No, you go here. You are called Lizard Button. Great phrase. I like Lizard Button. Lazard. Lizard Button. And you are named after the famous Star Trek character, Mr. Spork. All right. We need to put these in, so let's go access is unique name, access is unique name, and we need those unique names in there. So lizard button dot text equals lizard, and come back. Spock button. Apparently I've named that wrong. Thank you. Spock button dot text equals Spock. Okay. So this is where I really hate writing giant lines of code like this, right? Because now I'm going to have to double the size of this. So it might be possible, it might be sensible to go elif and move them across. Let's do that just for legibility. I also don't like huge nested if tables. But
can you just put a return character in and have one level indent? That works with Python code.
It does, but not in the middle of an if statement. It needs that. Why it doesn't work in an if statement, I don't know. It just don't. So, elif.
How annoying.
Out. Or. Elif. Oh, this is going well. Okay, so this bit's a bit repetitive. However, we also don't need these.
So you're basically just iterating through each one of these selections.
Right, now this isn't great, right? Like basic programming should be, is there a way of, like we're basically checking the same thing with different properties. I suspect there's a better way of doing this. I just haven't figured it out yet because I haven't planned this. I wanted to do this challenge properly. But we have rock and scissors. So let's add in another player win condition with rock. So elif player.choice is equal to rock, and rock smashes lizard. So Godot choice is equal to lizard. Now, there is an argument to be made for just having this one line of code. You're not checking every single line of the if statement, and that's great, but you're also ending up with this huge line of code that's very hard to read. So I genuinely don't know what's the best thing. Elif player choice is equal to paper. You'll notice what I'm doing here is I'm matching up the player choices, right? So I know there's 2 player choices for paper, for rock. I know there's 2 for paper, and I know that paper disproves Spock. So Godot choice is equal to Spock. Player wins. We have scissors, so let's just copy that. Can't be bothered. Scissors decapitates lizards. And now we need 2 winning conditions for lizards and 2 for Spocks, right? So let's just go. Stop that. Let's see. Lizard poisons Spock. And finally for lizards, lizards eat paper. Now we could do the last 2 thingies. This is gonna bug me. There we go. I want them all lined up. Let's get those 2 in. And we want... No! No, no, no! There we go. No! I feel very
of course, I'm watching this with a little bit of a delay.
Yeah, I'm feeling very judged by my fingers right now. Okay. So player choice is Spock. We know that there have to be 2 Spock wins. And got a choice. Okay, so Spock disintegrates rock. And what's the other one Spock does? Is it scissors? It's got to be, right? Yeah.
I can't remember the diagram. I know it looks messy.
So if I'm right, we now have rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. However, we've written in such a way that we could have it as, let's say, dance moves, right? So strut, jig, Macarena, sleep, nope.
Have you pre-prepared which beats what?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, that's the other thing, right? Is we should really have a rules description that comes up at the beginning. I don't, but that's actually not too difficult to write because we have these variables. So all we have to do is say, welcome, rock plus beats, and then rock beats, scissors and lizard, and then you just go through every iteration. But yeah, how are we doing for time?
We have 3 minutes left.
I'm calling it. We've won. Hooray! Let me get this over here so I can see the chats. So yeah,
awesome.
That was a little 45-minute thing into a simple way to do rock, paper, scissors in a way that can be expanded. Now, you can expand this as many times as you like, as long as you keep the choices odd. You can't have an even amount of choices. But the more choices you have, the more bits of code you're going to have to write for which one's which. There's probably a really elegant way of doing this. I thought about giving each one of them a numerical value, and I thought about doing some bit shifting. It's like, no. Let's just keep it nice and simple and just do an if statement.
The only thing I would say with the list is the larger it gets, the more prone to human error you potentially have with you mistyping something or misaligning something. But then if you come up with something elegant, then it can be hidden what it's doing. So it's not always good going elegant, especially on your first run when you're actually testing the code out and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't.
Sorry, I forgot the Mikey prop there. You're quite right, Michael. It's also, there's other ways you could do this. If you wanted to make this like much more involved, you could do things like have buttons with pictures on for each one, and then when you're choosing it, you can actually see the lines of what beats what and animate them. That's totally doable. It's just not really a 45-minute project. You could probably do the whole thing in visual scripting. This is the kind of thing that visual scripting can handle reasonably well, because you can see the lines, right? You can actually just draw them. But it really just boils down to, we have 2 choices. This combination of choices favors one, this favors the other. Iterate through them. There's got to be a cleaner way of doing it, but this works just fine. And any kind of combat system, any kind of dialogue system, any kind of... the rock, paper, scissors mechanic shows up in so many games, disguised as so many things, that it's a really useful thing to be able to get under your belt.
Isn't it basically how? Okay, add a random number generator in it as well. It's how a lot of RPGs work in the background, especially JRPGs.
Absolutely. I mean, if we bring the thing back, and I will go back to this scene, and we could call this strike, feint, grab, pin, taunt, right? And now we've got a text-based combat system. That should make some kind of sense.
And it wouldn't take much to assign numerical values to those. And if the other person picks something and they've got a modifier on them of a certain quality, it reduces the damage by half.
Absolutely.
So you could have, instead of it...
You can keep track of a score. I mean, this is just a basic decision, well, outcome generator is what it is, right? The computer's picking something randomly from a list. You're picking something however you're picking it. Maybe you're trying to outsmart it. Maybe the computer isn't picking randomly. Maybe it's trying to develop a strategy. Like if you have enough of these things and they're linked to different health bars, for example. Let's say, rock is linked to your health, paper is linked to your intellect, and scissors is linked to your stamina, whatever. It then becomes a point where a certain type of attack becomes more important, but they're going to guard against an attack. So what do? Do you think that they're going to assume you're going to do it? You can start bringing in strategy quite easily. This is just a simple way of getting that decision and outcome system going.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought so.
Now, it's a great time as we're wrapping up. If anybody's got any questions,
I'm glad you said that because I was about to say something very similar. Has anyone got any questions or concerns or thoughts
or interpretive dances
or jingles
or riffs?
I didn't prepare anymore. I'm sorry. I didn't know there'd be a test.
Brave man, though, trying to code the scope for Godot crashing.
That's another reason to go very simple, right? Is what happens if I get this wrong?
That's absolutely right, Durgan.
I have concerns about the macro beating anything, especially if milkshake is one of the options, because as we know, milkshake will actually bring all the boys to the yard.
Apparently, their life is better than yours.
I thought it was, and their comma, it's better than yours.
I have no idea.
I know there's some reason. I mean, okay, so this goes back. If you really want to know, I could teach you, but I am going to require some sort of financial remuneration. Yeah, no, one stream. Now,
who stays to the end of the stream, they get these nuggets of joy.
I did pick a very, very simple text game. Like, we're not pushing anything. We're not doing any particles and shaders and, fancy things with the new Vulkan rendering system. But yeah, it's the beta's looking really good. I'm enjoying using it.
Yes, and the fact that the last time you did Godot 4 on stream, it crashed multiple times. Yeah. So it's, as Renders just said, it is really encouraging to see the fact that Godot 4's made it. It's a simple game. Who's to say if we did something a bit more, Yann did something a bit more involved, that it wouldn't rear its ugly head.
But it's a great mini game or subsystem, right? Like if you in the God of War action RPG, we've decided to go with an action RPG, but we could have gone with a JRPG style combat system. At which point, this could be the basis of our combat. Like, there's no reason not. Or haggling with merchants, maybe. You're trying to sweet talk them, they're trying to fast talk you. Like, you can use this in all kinds of different ways. It's really just pick words that seem to fit that dynamic and run with it.
Nice.
So I think, and I realize this is a shorter stream, next stream will be a whole action RPG made in Godot in 45 minutes. Oh, thanks for volunteering, Vertex. It's very kind of you. I feel like this is a good place to end because I have a very early start in the morning and Mikey's got Christmas decorating to do.
I'm decking the halls with holly. It's very prickly.
Charlie. Fa la 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 la. All right. So I think that is a good place to end. I realized we started a little bit late and we had to sort of to zoom to a halt, but we kind of got exactly where we expected to be on time. So yeah, excellent work. And wait, this is a stream. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and thank you, Michael, for joining us as a bat.
I get to say press it this week,
and I think that worked well. So yeah, bye.
Bye. Press it.
Press it. Press.